So you found the skeleton. How would you tell it's a dinosaur? You personally, how would you decide?
Well, interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on that.
Hey everybody. So, if for some reason you're not sure where you are, this is the Dapper Dino channel. We do mostly young Earth creationism debunk, and today we're going to be looking at Kent Hovind's dissertation. By looking at, I mean we're actually reading it. We've already read virtually 57 pages of it. There's a little tiny bit of page 57 that we have left, and then we're on to page 58 of his 102 page. I hesitate to actually call it a dissertation because it doesn't have a thesis statement, it doesn't have a central argument, it doesn't have a table of contents, it doesn't have a bibliography, but this is his purported dissertation. And of course, I am joined today by Bent Hovind and Vishanti. Bent, you may recognize as my regular co-host from Kent with Bent, our show in which we react to Kent Hovind while I slowly get drunk, or rapidly get drunk, depending on just how bad it is. And you may recognize Vishanti from earlier streams in this series, as well as from her work on places like the NASA 33 bunker.
Yeah, NASA Bunker 33. I'm also on the shills occasionally. Yes. We have like a ladies' night show called Uncalled For, which is pretty fun.
So, if you haven't seen all of the previous ones, don't feel like you're going to be lost, because all that you've missed, right? All that you've missed is incoherent ramblings while myself and my panel members kind of descend into madness as we're like held hostage by some kind of eldritch deity that's forcing us to read absolute nonsense on the internet week after week. It's sort of like I have no mouth, but I must scream, except that it's creationism instead of... Yeah.
Also, that reminds me, speaking of the Void, which some people are mentioning, you did get a super chat prior to the stream starting.
True.
It was
Carrie
a contribution
Bronson.
For the Void.
Yes, Carrie Bronson, who is one of the most loyal disciples of the Void, did super chat for $5 on behalf of the Void, hoping that its serenity and emptiness could ease everyone's sorrows. I'm paraphrasing a little bit because I don't have it written down. Sorry. But thank you very much, Carrie Bronson. Let's see. I think...
It was, quote, an offering to the void, may its stillness ease your mind. That's what
there you go. All right, so we're going to dive into this. So the way we've been doing this, and the way that I would like to keep going with it, is that we're basically going to have one person read a couple pages. Anyone can interrupt for any reason if they want to put in, their 2 cents. And then we're going to pass it off to the next person. We're going to just go top to bottom, so it's going to go me, Bent, Vishanti, and then back up to me. We might be joined later by Cheshire Vic. I don't actually know. I've been informed that she only recently woke up and is apparently making breakfast. So who knows how long that'll take. But anyway, without any further ado, I think we just dive into it. What do you guys think?
Yeah. I mean, it's like It's like a Band-Aid. You got to rip it off fast.
Right. There's no point in pretending that we're not going to get through it. Okay. So now I want to remind everyone, this is supposed to be a dissertation. So every time you read these read these sentences, think about how this fits into a dissertation for a doctorate in education. I write letters to the editor very frequently. Here's one published some time ago that sums up my feelings on the subject. Okay, evolution isn't science. Remember the story of tailors who kept asking for more silk and gold to make a royal suit for the king? The deceitful men were pocketing the goods and giving the king imaginary clothes. Okay, anyone who couldn't see the splendor of these clothes was obviously not intelligent. To even dare to suggest that his highness was not gorgeously arrayed was to invite a barrage of ridicule and scorn. And so the entire kingdom was duped into silence until a small, quote-unquote, ignorant boy cried out, "The kind hath no clothes." I think he means king. So here's what
I don't know what he means by kind anyway, so maybe kind means king. Who knows?
Oh, so
wait,
why?
Scroll back up a little bit. I want to make sure that he restores Taylor Shammer school and royal suit the king and suit will never pocket them good, then giving the king imaginary clothes. The kind hath no clothes. I see it now. Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. So here's the thing that I wonder, though. Was that typo in the actual letter, and Kent is just giving us an honest transcription of the letter that he wrote to the editor? Or did he screw it up after the fact? Anyway, the kind hath no clothes. It is still true today that a few scoundrels can cajole the masses into silence about the obvious, using ridicule and derision. For example, it is obvious that evolution doesn't, and won't happen. Design demands a designer. Frogs don't turn into princes, and bib bangs make big messes, not neat, orderly universes.
Oh my goodness.
I'm now picturing like a god with a little bib, like he's been eating like lobster or something at Red Lobster, and he's like, "Oh, I should probably make a universe," and he just kind of goes, "Boom, universe." And that's the bib bang.
He pounds the table with his little baby fist. Big bang, big bang.
Also for $5, for $5 from Vandali 1998, we have. I always wondered what is the school. Alcohol metabolism, archosaurs, dinosaurs. Anyway, with a Godzilla emoji. We're not technically playing the drinking game, but I will take a sip of my water in honor of the Godzilla emoji.
My nice tall glass of melonade.
My delicious, freshly ground Copolani blend coffee for that one.
There you go. I'm a little jealous. So actually, I don't actually know. I don't know of any studies like testing like metabolism of alcohol in like birds. But the other thing is, birds have like really high metabolisms, much higher than we think most dinosaurs would have. So I don't even know how you would go about trying to like figure that out. I guess you could sort of like try to do like an intermediary between like a bird and some like mesothermic organism like a platypus or a hyrax. But then again, I don't know who's gonna fund the study where you go and get a platypus drunk. Like,
look, if scientists can get octopuses rolling on freaking ecstasy for science, then we can get a platypus drunk.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. There is some weird funding out there. All right, well, there you go, guys. That's gonna be our next big push. Is we need to do a study on drunken platypus, so that we can then extend that to other animals with a similar metabolic rate, like many dinosaurs.
I'll call Brainy Beaver. He needs to be in on this one.
Okay. Let's see. Where was I? Over 90% of the ignorant masses believe that the world was created by God. That's definitely not true. Well, okay, it depends on exactly what you mean. If you phrase it like, do you believe that God was involved in the creation of the universe? Then, at least in the United States, that's probably, especially at the time, roughly okay. But if by that you mean like, are young Earth creationists? No, and it's now a minority. And second best bomb for £5 says, I missed the first part. I don't mind though, with a laughy face emoji. Yeah, look, this entire series, we've come to understand that nothing in Kent Hovind's dissertation makes any kind of point. There is no argument. It's just a bunch of nonsense.
It's just a religious screed.
Yeah, basically. It's like stream of consciousness. It's really bad. Thousands of taxpayers in this country resent their tax money supporting the humanist religion of evolution in our schools. Again, not a religion. In spite of this, Katie Knight...
Thousands in this county?
Oh, yeah, so in county. Did I say country? Yeah, I'm sorry. That was my mistake.
But look, thousands? Like...
It depends on the county, I guess.
What does that have to do with a dissertation?
Nothing. There's literally no reason in a dissertation for your doctorate in education to be quoting your letter to the editor about how much you don't like evolution.
I think this whole paper is a bib mistake. Wait, what?
In spite of this, Katie Knight, science curriculum supervisor in Escambia County. Sorry, Katie. I don't know if you're ever going to watch this. Probably not. But like, my sincerest condolences on having your name appear in this work.
At least he didn't put your address, right?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he did. Although, by this point, I doubt it would be current. Anyway, told me that only one person is objecting to the teaching of evolution in our schools. Me. So it's not thousands then. It's one. Got it.
No, it's not.
Thank you for debunking yourself in your own dissertation, Kent. It really helps. My goodness.
In the same paragraph.
I know. How long will we let them steal our gold and give us nothing in return? They steal our kids' class time and brain power promoting this fairy tale evolution while they keep asking for more gold. How dare schools want to be funded? How very dare they? Review the books this year and voice your complaints. Textbooks are being selected now. Let's get back to teaching real science and stop letting them tell us that evolutionism must be included. It's not science, and it's not even remotely related to science. Even though the socialist tailors... What? I feel like Kent Hovind he's got a hat with a bunch of strips of paper, each one of which has an adjective for like something he doesn't like. It's got like Marxist, socialist, Satanist, evolutionist, and he just pulls one out and he's like, socialist tailors. Yeah, that's good. I'll write that one down.
Oh my god. It's like with the episode of South Park where the manatee was like pushing the idea balls out to give out ideas for the Family Guy episodes. Yes. That's what he's doing. He's got like a little porpoise that pushes, balloons out of a pool, and it's like, blame the, pops out the balloon, socialists.
Okay, so even though the socialist tailors insist I'm the one who is blind and give evolutionism royal treatment, I still say the king, parentheses, evolution, hath no clothes.
Wait, I thought the kind had no clothes.
Yeah, before it was the kind. So I don't know where this king is coming from now.
I don't understand, like, the imperative paragraph, second to last. Like, guys, what is this?
We're into our next chapter.
Oh, chapter 1 finally.
No, chapter 2.
Chapter 2 finally.
Chapter 2 of 15, I believe it was what the comment was. And we're currently on page 59 of 102. So, place your bets as to whether we actually get to the last chapter that he said we would cover. Okay. The effects of evolution. Evolution is probably one of the most important subjects facing us today because of the worldview and lifestyle that it breeds. Okay.
Okay.
Also, sorry for a low-flying military jet flying right over me. There's an I think Army base? I don't know. There's some kind of base.
Air Force base.
Is it Air Force?
There's an Air Force base.
Okay, it's an Air Force base. I don't know. A person's belief that he is a creation of God involves a particular worldview that will make him live a certain way. And if he believes that he is a creation of chance, that there is no God, then that will produce a lifestyle or a worldview that will have certain consequences on his way of life. I mean, that's probably at least a little bit true. Who cares anyway? Why is this subject so important?
The most sensible thing I've read all day from him.
Yeah, who cares anyway?
Can't ask him the real questions. Who cares anyway? Why is this so important? It's not.
I'd like to begin by saying that the subject is very dear to my heart. Kent, this is your dissertation. No one cares what's dear to your heart. Oh my goodness. I'm both glad and sad to be able to discuss the topic of creation evolution in the Bible. Oh, is that what we're discussing? Because you've never given us a thesis statement. I'm glad because I love the Bible and the God of the Bible, and I'm honored to be able to share my faith in God's incredible book. Yeah, this could be it. We might actually be leading up to a thesis, like an actual thesis statement.
Wow.
I'm glad because we have freedom in this country that allows us to discuss topics like this. Many other countries do not even allow discussion on this subject. Many, I mean, I've probably a few, but you have to accept the state opinion. Like, yeah, I can't think of any country that's enforcing evolution as, like, if you don't accept it, it's a thought crime.
Well, like, if you have a discussion on it, that's the crime. I don't know of any.
I mean, look,
arrest you for having a discussion.
As we all know, we have no data for North Korea, so maybe. Because if you ever notice, like, any of those world maps or anything, North Korea always just comes up as no data available for everything.
Well, that's because they're 100% freedom all the time.
Oh, yeah.
There's no need to ask.
Everything is great in North Korea. That's why people routinely flee the country.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just too much freedom, too much utopia.
Yeah, too much prosperity.
People need challenges in their lives, so they have to go somewhere else.
Oh, my favorite bit with that is that at the DMZ, there's like that little area where there's two little like meeting rooms, and it's where like North and South Korean officials have like a line of communication. And on the South Korean side, there's a couple of guards that just kind of look across the border. But on the North Korean side, there's 3 guards. One looks across the border, and the other 2 watch each other and the one who's looking across the border so that none of them run. because it's a bigger concern that the border guards would abandon their post to go defect than it is that
Amazing.
they actually guard the border.
Incredible.
Yeah. Anyway,
Is it that particular border, or is it like a Chinese border where they basically play music to troll each other over the DMZ?
oh, it's the Korean border. Yeah, there's
Okay.
been some trolling of North Koreans by playing South Korean like pop music and whatnot. America, you have to accept the state opinion. America is headed that way, I fear. Yeah, they're gonna bang down the doors and say, "Excuse me, sir, have you heard the word of our Lord and Savior Darwin?" No, well, shotgun time.
All right, I'll tell you what. Once I, as an American, am no longer allowed to have a discussion on this type of topic, then I'll start taking this paper seriously.
Mm.
But
I
until
will
that happens,
super seriously.
But I'm glad that right now, in America, we have the freedom to discuss the contradictory or conflicting religions of creation and evolution, and cue the Star-Spangled Banner. I'm glad because discussions of this type will force people to take a stand on the issue. Kent, I promise you, your dissertation isn't going to force anyone to do anything except me to feel like my brain is leaking out of my ear. You either believe one side or the other. There is no middle ground in this case. And I'm going to turn it over to Bent.
but I am very sad because
Aw.
many other countries don't allow this type of discussion on creation and evolution. Many millions of my brothers in the faith have given their lives and fortunes for the blessed book, the Bible. I'm sad because it looks like many more will have to do the same in the next few years, the way things are going. I don't,
You don't remember that big
I don't know if that
pogrom
happened.
against Christians in the years after like the 90s? You don't remember
I
that?
don't remember.
There was a big cleanse of Christianity in the early 2000s in America.
A small one. Like, I know people are killed for their faith, but it's not like this huge increase in numbers of it, right?
And certainly not in the United
I
States.
mean, in America, the most you're going to get is some pushback. There is
In a few
no
years, though, you
systemic
can-
discrimination or oppression of Christianity
No.
in America. No matter how many times they want to play the victim card, it is
But just wait.
declined.
In the next few years, the way things are going. All right, I'm also sad.
They've been
because
saying
those
that
who-
since what, the 70s?
Yeah.
Oh,
Just
I
look,
think
it's right
since-
around the corner.
They've been saying that for 2,000 years.
To be fair,
I'm also sad.
in that 2,000 years, it has happened a few times.
Sure. I'm also sad because those who reject the words of this blessed book are missing the greatest joy known to man, fellowship with God.
This book is capitalized.
Yeah, I don't know why. They're also missing the real reason and purpose of life, which you should say now then, right? If the words of the time-tested book are true, those who reject them and the forgiveness they offer are doomed to face God and give an account of their sin before their creator. Is that his topic sentence? God will
Maybe.
be their well, it's supposed to be at the top of the paragraph.
Yeah, well,
Anyway, God will be their judge on that day, whereas he will be my father on that day. This topic is personal for me. It's not just academic. I don't know why you added the word just.
hey,
it's
a
not
wild
academic.
goblin appeared.
Oh, hi, Trash.
Hello, I've come to enjoy the pain of what is going on.
Well, thank you, because it
painful.
now means that it's going to take even longer for it to cycle back to me as the reader.
You are so welcome.
Okay.
If someone says that the Bible is a myth and is not true, or that the doctrine of evolution is true, and the Genesis account of creation is false, they are attacking the very foundation of my faith. Jesus said that the creation of Adam and Eve was, quote, the beginning. Quote.
Oh,
Matthew 19:4. Yeah.
that's a citation. We have so few of those. I treasure every single one of them.
How many is that?
I
this
think
might
that
be the
gives us
second
like
last.
6 maybe
It-
total in like 60
We
pages.
might have broken one hand.
Right.
It would be like saying that my father is a liar. Calling Genesis a myth or creation a myth is like saying slanderous things about my mom or dad or wife or family.
What if your dad is a
Why?
liar?
Oh, then, there you go. Well, then it wouldn't be slander because it's true.
It will be hard for me not to get emotionally involved in this topic, and he did a great job. That he had 2 words on that last line, which is everything else down. We need to remember Aristotle's dictum. Aristotle said, if a document is being questioned, the benefit of the doubt is given to the document itself, not arrogated by the critic to himself. One must listen to the claims of the document under analysis and not assume fraud or error unless the author disqualifies himself by contradictions or known factual inerrancies.
Also, this would
Thank
be
you,
another
Aristotle.
good this would be another good place for a citation, Kent, so that we can look up and see, where did Aristotle say that?
I think he probably thinks that just Aristotle's dictum would be the citation.
Well, let's see what happens when I Google Aristotle's dictum. I mean, maybe it'll come up.
I don't know. I'm guessing.
Dictum.
Uh,
Let's see. Let's see. What do you mean by... Apparently, Aristotle's dictum primarily refers to dictum de omni et nullo, the maximum of all and none, is a principle that whatever is affirmed or denied of a whole kind K may be affirmed or denied, respectively, of any subkind K. That does not really correlate very well to this, but okay.
I don't know. I mean, it is in quote form, block quote form, so maybe it is a quote. But
Oh, I mean, he's presenting it as a quote, but like
he's presenting it.
that's why you cite it. That's how papers work.
It's hard for me to know because I haven't read the entire and memorized all of Aristotle's dictum.
Ugh.
There are basically two choices in this argument. Choice number one is that the material universe that we see made itself out of nothing for no reason. Then, through a long process of evolution, the different animals and man developed as we see them today.
I feel like that might not be one of the only two options. There might be a
Choice-
few more choices. Sorry.
Choice number two, and the last choice possible, is that there is an infinite, all-powerful, all-wise God who created this universe that we see for some special reasons. There are those who try to make a middle ground position called theistic evolution. This says that God, can't be a choice because there's only two.
Right. Yeah.
This says
Not
that God
valid.
created the matter and helped evolution along at critical points like the origin of life and things like that. That is an indefensible position.
Well, Kent said it's indefensible, guys. So if you're a theistic evolution,
How
just
can it
back
be?
it up.
How can it be an indefensible position if it's not even possible to be a choice? Because there's only two choices.
It's a good question.
Something false dichotomy, something. You
Yeah.
should probably make sure that your dissertation does not have logical fallacies built
And
in it.
Built.
I love that as he's
It's
setting
the
up a
nature
false
of the thing.
dichotomy,
Yeah.
he's like, oh, I know this is a false dichotomy, but I'm just going to say that the other options just aren't defensible because I say so. It's like when you say
Didn't he
something...
just quote Aristotle?
Yeah. Aristotle would
Saying
be
that he doesn't
ashamed.
get to do
Trust
that?
me, guys.
He said he did.
Yeah.
Trust me, guys. Bro, it's cool. Don't worry about it.
My goodness.
The
Wink.
choices are either the universe made itself or God made it. Both are in the realm of religion. People that believe in evolution want to make you think that what they believe is a scientific fact. Nothing could be farther from the truth. Is it farther or further? I thought it was
It's further. It should be further. This is the wrong
farther
word.
is distance, right?
Right. Yeah. What he's saying there is that the idea that evolution is true is physically far away from the idea of creationism, which doesn't make any sense.
And I've made that mistake a million times, but not in a dissertation.
Right.
These people
Kind of
are
thing you would have
either
checked.
right. What a big mistake. These people are either extremely optimistic or just bold-faced liars. Maybe. Or
There's only two options, guys.
Also, it's bald-faced liars.
I wonder.
I've heard both.
I think their faces
Yeah, it
can
is
be bold. You
bald-faced.
just highlight their face and then Control B, and then their faces are bold.
There you go.
Evolution is not a scientific fact. It actually is not even a good theory. It is just a hypothesis. And that is one way to tell everyone that you have no idea what evolution is without actually saying it.
I think it's time to switch to Vishanti, though. Sorry.
Alright.
Hey, you signed up for
Yeah,
this.
it's actually, I know. It's
That's a
actually
big
not a
sigh.
hypothesis. It is, in fact, a theory, and that is the scientific definition of theory, but I bet our audience already knows that. so.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, hey, we have our, I think, third page number.
Ooh,
Nice.
interesting. Okay. actually, evolution fits into the realm of religion. Webster's definition of religion says belief in a divine or superhuman power to be obeyed and worshipped as the creator and ruler of the universe.
Wait, he never
This
opened
process-
that. Oh, he did.
I'm getting deja vu. I feel like we had this. He made this point already.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
If this process of evolution created and rules the universe,
Which it doesn't. Okay.
created and rules the universe,
Didn't
then
either
that
of those
is the
things.
superhuman power that the evolutionists worship. Many people down through the years have admitted that evolution is just a religion. No,
No,
we have
yeah.
not.
You guys, you haven't seen my shrine of evolution. It's great. There's a big effigy of Charles Darwin, and like I've got a replica of Tiktaalik, and I've got a bunch of incense and candles, and
It's like that
Oh, yeah.
episode of South Park.
what should the atheists call each other?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like if we're the faction of Lyle, or you're the faction of Darwin, and you're the faction of this, it's like, or is Lyle his prophet?
And we've all been murdering each other over it for hundreds of years.
Yes. Okay, some still won't today because they don't understand the subject. For instance, Sir Arthur Keith, the British biologist, said, evolution is unproved and unprovable. We believe it because the only alternative is special creation, and that is unthinkable. I actually looked up this citation, and it is nowhere to be found.
Shocker.
It's a quote of a quote of a quote that may or may not have appeared in a thing, but it's never correctly cited. It only comes from creationist sources, which...
Are you implying that
okay.
creationists might not be reliable sources for actual legitimate quotations?
Of course not.
Okay.
Okay.
Tell me if I'm wrong about this. Let me know if I'm overstepping here. But if creationist sources are regularly getting quotations wrong, or quote mining, or don't have proper citations, or are misquoting people on the regular, why exactly is it we should believe them when they're like, well, the Bible could never have been misquoted down the line. We're only started doing this recently.
Oh, yeah. So actually, they definitely didn't. In fact, actually, I think it was Inspiring Philosophy recently released a nice video about the history of young Earth creationism. And yeah, it does not
good.
go back to, I mean, not that this is news to me.
No, it's not that
But
old.
yeah, it goes back to basically Mary Baker Eddy with the Seventh-day Adventists, and then it spread into
Yeah.
wider Protestant Christianity in the 70s.
Yeah.
What's
that sounds
funny
about
is that Inspiring Philosophy, for all of his like Christian apologetics, is not a young Earth creationist,
Nope.
and that riles up so many people in his
I
comments.
know. That's actually the
Yeah.
reason that I sometimes watch the channel, is because it's hilarious
Yeah.
to see how
I
butthurt a lot of the
we've-
creationists get.
I think we've got him coming on to Non-Sec at some point.
Oh,
I
there
don't
you
know if
go.
we've confirmed it yet, though.
Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy.
Could be good times.
All right, where were we?
I will eat popcorn for that. Okay.
Nice.
Me
L.H.
too.
Matthews. L.H. Matthews, the man who wrote the preface to the 1971 edition of Darwin's book, The Origin of Species, said, quote, the belief in the theory of evolution was exactly parallel to belief in special creation, which with evolution merely a satisfactory faith on which to base our interpretation of nature, end quote. Okay. It is a faith. Okay. No. Pierre Gros, a French evolutionist. Hang on, I lost my place when you scrolled.
Oh, sorry, a French biologist. Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, wait, he's not a socialist or
Scientist.
anything?
Probably a Marxist. He's French.
Oh, okay.
Big difference. He said
Huge.
scientists should destroy the myth of evolution. Citation needed?
Yeah.
I mean, what?
At least he
The
technically
British
cited the above one.
physicist, I guess. The British physicist. Why are we talking about a biological function with a physicist? I don't know. The British physicist L.H. Lipscomb said, in fact, evolution became, in a sense, a scientific religion. Almost all scientists have accepted it, and many are prepared to bend their observations to fit in with it. Wow, they wouldn't be cherry picking anything, would they?
No. And I'm certain that at no point would any of these people that Kent Hovind quotes actually just be creationists. Because he definitely has never misrepresented, nor has any young Earth creationist ever misrepresented an actual fellow creationist as a non-creationist in order to lend them legitimacy. Just like-
Not even once.
Like, I didn't recently watch Dan Biddle cite Evolution News from the Intelligent Design Discovery Institute as quote-unquote the journal Evolution.
Nope.
Yeah, that
Not
didn't
even a
happen.
Okay. Evolutionists can rant and rave all they want and say that evolution is a proven fact when actually there is not one bit of scientific evidence to back up macroevolution. Oh my god, Kent.
Fragment sentence.
God. By that, I mean major changes between kinds of animals. He doesn't never define kinds.
Nope.
Way
He
to
never-
end your paragraph, Kent, with telling everyone that everything in that paragraph makes no sense and shouldn't be taken seriously, because your topic sentence is at the end when you say macroevolution means changes between kinds of animals. That's not what that is.
Can
So
I have
the
a
entire
book?
thing is nonsensical.
And again, yet again, as Professor Dave and multiple other people have continually and repeatedly asked, please define kind. Unless you can define what a kind is,
It
that
might be
word is
king.
meaningless in terms of anything related
That's,
to your
Benj
argument.
is right. He might mean king. Maybe he
It
means
might mean
a
king,
major
means
transition
kind.
between kings of animals.
Ooh.
Bent, could you please, I think I need this in my life, could you please self-publish either a rewrite or a full proper red pen edit of this piece of paper?
I actually started one.
I would love
actually
to see
started
that
one.
on Amazon somewhere.
I actually
I
redid his title
could.
page for this quote dissertation as what it would look like if it were formatted to be a proper dissertation. And I did the title page and I started a table of contents and I was like, nah, this is too much work. If he didn't put this much
I
effort
would
into it,
just-
I'm not going to either.
I would.
I would love to see like the rewrite of like this line scratched out, so show source, little arrow, this needs to be put up here with like little X
Oh
marks.
yeah, I'll
Like,
definitely do
at
that.
one point, one like really sad emoticon that's just like, please help.
So, by the way, there is
Yeah.
some question
Things
as
like-
to
It would be too stressful.
there's some question in the chat
Oh.
as to exactly what it is that we're reading. Now, as far as I know, okay, so first, this has been downloaded from WikiLeaks, right? So, for whatever that's worth, this has been downloaded from WikiLeaks. However, from my understanding, this is supposed to be a scan of a physical document that was submitted by Kent to Patriot Bible University. I'm not sure about the story of how it gets to us. However, Kent Hovind has recently basically accepted that this is in fact what it purports to be in his discussions with, I believe, Emma, whose last name is escaping me. Come on, somebody help me out. Emma
Something.
Thorne, I think? Anyway, she's another YouTuber, she's a much bigger YouTuber than me, who's also been looking at this document. And in his responses to her, he has basically confirmed that, yes, this is more or less what it purports to be. He's also lied about it by saying it's a transcript of his talks, despite the fact that it starts out talking about this book and what chapters we're going to find in this book. So, I mean, he's being blatantly dishonest about it. But hey, it's Kent.
Hovind dishonest?
I know, right? Shock. I'm shocked.
What?
Shocked, I tell you. Well, not that shocked.
Okay, Sally Forth. Actually, no, I'm kidding. I'm skipped the whole sentence because you would definitely put one sentence on a line for a page break.
Oh, and by the way, yes, these
Okay.
are apparently his original margins.
Microevolution is small, little changes where there is no change from one kind of organism to another. Again,
Not
fine.
defined.
What is it?
Doesn't mean anything.
Actually, evolution would be a bad term to use. He just doesn't like the word. Microevolution is only variations within the kind. We have a word for that, Kent. It's called speciation. It proves foresight of the creator in providing his creatures with the ability to adapt within limits to their environment. I don't question that variation exists. I just interpret the evidence as part of God's design. Kent's problem is that he does not accept variation enough.
Maya Atkinson came prepared by bringing wine. That's a dangerous game, Maya. Good luck.
Oof. All right, I'll give you just one example to help you understand the difference. Let's suppose
Okay.
we let loose 500 canaries on an island.
Okay.
The only food for the canaries to eat on that island are nuts with a relatively tough shell around them. Only the canaries that had a tough beak would be able to survive to eat the nuts. Would be able to eat their nuts and survive. The others would starve to death, or they would learn to eat something else. Therefore, those that had the tougher beaks would be able to reproduce the next generation. Did he mean to the next generation? I don't know. If we came back to that island in about 200 years, we would find that all of the canaries on the island have tough beaks. That is not evolution. That is simply variation. No,
that's evolution.
That's
The
evolution.
variation was already there, Kent.
Okay, so there's a few things. One is, it is evolution because evolution has
killing
occurred
me.
anytime you have a change in the allele frequency in a population across generations. If that has happened, you have had evolution. That is the minimum for evolution. But the other thing is, this is ignoring the fact that there are mutations that cause things like differences in beak shape and strength. So if you came back in a few hundred years, you would actually almost certainly find that these birds would have bigger and tougher beaks than any part of the original population. And they would still be canaries because that's how evolution works. In fact, hold on a second. I mean,
You have a video, they're Still Canaries.
I do.
Right?
It's my most popular video. We're going to take a quick look at the website associated with that video. So this is a speculative evolution project, right? And so the idea is that an alien moon is, for some reason, seeded with a bunch of animals, the only the only terrestrial vertebrate of which is the common canary. Serinus canarius, I think? Whatever. Doesn't matter. And eventually, they, evolve into a myriad other forms of terrestrial predators and herbivores and whatnot, but they're all still canaries. And how does this happen? It requires this thing called mutations, but mutations do occur. And anyway, I also just wanted to say, hey, this is a cool website. Go check it out. It's the subject of, by far, my most popular video. It's got, I think right now it's coming up on 70,000 views, and my next most popular is sitting at 12.
That's cool.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, and I am using Bing because for some reason when I opened up this thing as a PDF, it just popped up in Bing, and I don't care enough to change it. I don't normally use, or not Bing,
I'm gonna blame
Edge.
Kent for that.
Making excuses for Bing.
Well, so I'm actually making excuses for Edge, is what I actually meant to say, because I hate Edge, but
Mine's an Edge.
it's what popped up when I opened up a PDF, and I'm just I'm not going to try and spend time using a different browser. So anyway, here we go. Oh, and for $4.99 from Vandalia 1998, microevolution is only variation within the kind, like the variation in the cat kind, lions, tigers, panthers, and house cats. So little variation. Yeah, there's actually a lot of variation. In fact, there's way more variation within the quote-unquote cat kind than there is between humans and chimpanzees. Baldy Cats, welcome, says, Kent's dissertation, did he write it in crayon? So he might have composed it. He might have composed it in crayon, but it was at least typed, because this does appear to be a scan.
Someone appears to have typed it for him.
Actually, we have her name at the beginning of this. It was
yeah.
What was it? What was her name? I'm just gonna check. We're on page 63, so I'm just gonna hit page 1.
But also, bless this poor person who had to try and translate
Kim
Kent's
Van
crayon
Gundy.
scribbles.
Kim Van Gundy. So Miss Van Gundy is to blame for some of this, at least.
I mean, I feel like she is probably a victim in this.
Actually, I have heard from sources close to Kent, is what I'll say, that apparently she was basically just a neighbor who, their parents and Kent were friendly. Her parents and Kent were friendly, and she was, going to school, and she, had reasonable typist skills. And so, one weekend, she just got roped into this, and she hated every minute of it.
She's a victim.
Yeah.
Poor girl.
So, sorry, Miss Van Gundy.
I'm sorry you felt like you had to put your name on this.
Baldy Cats, it's drinking time where you are, so you may want to indulge while we read this absolute train wreck of screed.
If it were later where I live, I would be drinking right now.
I might put something in my coffee here. Anyway, all right. Should I do this next little bit in the Kent Hovind voice, or should I just plow on through it?
Oh, that's up to you. But I will never tell you not to do a Kent Hovind voice.
Okay, fine.
I say go for it.
That is not evolution. That is simply variation. You would still have canaries.
Yes.
The trait of having a tough beak was in the genetic structure to begin with. Nothing new has been added. We have only selected a certain portion of the population to survive. That is variation, not evolution. He just said that.
Yep.
Those canaries will never, given all the time you want, never change into elephants or dinosaurs or trees or tomatoes. If they did, that would be macroevolution.
They were already dinosaurs. They started out as dinosaurs.
They need to go back to dinosaurs.
I need to go back to dinosaurs.
Reject modernity, return to dinosaur.
Embrace
No.
tradition.
But no, that wouldn't be macroevolution. If they turn into a tree or a tomato, that would be magic.
Yeah, that would be magic.
That would be a
It would be.
That would be evidence towards a supernatural being.
Yes.
That's what that would be,
Ken should hope that canaries turn into tomatoes.
right?
Good. Okay.
What's Ken gonna do if they do? What if that did happen?
Eat
What
'em.
would Ken do?
I
Feed
mean,
him and put him on a BLT.
well, yeah, he'd probably do that, but he would probably just say like, "Oh, look, it's the power of God." That's obviously not evolution.
Yeah, so like it doesn't even matter.
Okay,
It
there's
doesn't
Ken
even
would
matter.
say, "Look at this miracle that happened. Evolution must be true," and then he'd become an evolutionist. That's what he would do. 'Cause he doesn't
Yeah,
understand it
no.
at all.
That's
Him
the,
and R and Ra would become best buddies forever.
you know what? I want to
Would
see that
skip into the
video.
sunset.
Yep,
Yeah,
those
me
two
too.
just skipping along, and like maybe they go and get like they share an ice cream cone together.
The JM Truth one.
Aw. Yes.
Oh goodness.
Yes. Oh god. Like damn truth. Oh my
Oh.
god.
Okay,
Oh man.
look, it's
Okay,
already
here we go.
dumb enough with Kent. I don't need JM Truth being added to this.
Fair. I apologize.
Okay. Microevolution is small little variations between species that have been in the genetic structure by.
What?
Just
Just sit there.
not a sentence.
Just
Bye.
Bye.
Oh.
Hi, my name is Ken Hovind. Bye.
My
Oh,
mental image
Kim
of Kim Van Gundy has started to change to like her being literally shackled to a typewriter and told that she can't go away until she finishes.
Ken's just talking
Just even
and
if,
just
like,
trying to
I'm
put
gonna
it
leave
together.
this in to make him look stupid.
Could you imagine trying to do this, but you're doing it off of like Kent's like little tapes, and he's like talking to her, and she's trying to formulate it into something cohesive. Like she didn't have something he written; she only had like him telling her, and she's just like, "Okay."
Oh, Yeah, this is almost certainly a dictation.
He probably mumbled that
Ugh.
last word, and she just left it out. When she was
Yeah,
typing it.
Or he does that really
That's it.
annoying thing where someone starts a sentence and then immediately in the middle of the sentence they begin another sentence.
yeah.
And by the way, I do
That's
want
one
to
of
point
my,
out
like pet peeves.
that small changes between species is macroevolution. Small changes within species is what microevolution is. So can't even get that right. Shocker, right?
This is amazing. All right. It has nothing whatsoever to do with the terms that are used today about evolution. Let me quote just a few more things here. Kent, it's your dissertation. Quote whatever you want. Just cite the thing. Oh my god. Okay.
But he did cite
In
it though.
Scientific
Just let him
America. Hang on, you guys. Scientific America. Not Scientific American. Scientific America.
Yeah.
That's a different one. One of those is a little
May, comma, 1984. There's no
Comma.
volume. There's no issue.
Yeah, no.
The pain. Okay. Alan Good said the
Comma.
inflationary model of the universe. So now we're from biology to cosmology.
Look,
Kent.
Kent doesn't
Ugh.
know the difference. He
I know
thinks
y'all
it's
think
all
so,
part of evolution.
All right. The inflationary model of the universe provides a possible mechanism by which the observable universe could have evolved from an infinitesimal region. It is then tempting to go one step further and speculate that the entire universe evolved from literally nothing. Okay.
Great.
So
I can't
And-
imagine what I'm supposed to take away from this.
That's your faith,
Anyway.
Dapper.
Oh, that's true.
You
I
can-
do
That's
have
what
a.
you're supposed to take away from it.
Oh, right. I should add an expanding universe model over to my shrine of evolution with its effigy of Charles
Yes.
Darwin.
painted on the ceiling like the Egyptians did with Newt.
Yeah.
It like splashes. It like starts. You've got like this whole mural that starts with like a little bit of like pondy ooze that then like crawls up the side of your wall and starts like evolving and changing from fish into
think-
like other creatures and then dinosaurs and then it goes up into like space.
I think what I'm getting
crawls
from
up
this
the-
is that
That'd
what
be
my
kinda cool, actually.
I think what I'm getting from this is that what my set needs is a stained glass window of Darwin looking down upon the earth like Jesus.
No, use a sticker. Use a sticker stained glass of Darwin. Like
Hey,
Oh,
you
like
guys-
that woman on the airplane. Oh
You guys remember those like little slap glow in the dark stickers that you can put on your walls and ceiling as a kid?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Need some of
One
those.
of Darwin? Of a Darwin? Okay.
yeah.
I'll take all of these under
Make
advisement
the
for
constellations in the shape of Darwin's head. The glow-in-the-dark stickers.
I could probably do that procedurally, actually.
You have to like film it and make it like it looks like an episode of Art Attack.
Ooh.
Okay, here we go. You can speculate and say that it's possible all you want, but that is religion. That is your faith. Don't tell me that is science. You cannot prove that. If you want to believe that, that is fine. This is America. You can believe whatever you want to believe, but don't tell me that that is science. And don't use my tax dollars to teach other kids in the public schools that that is science. That's nonsense. If you think that is really... Bro,
Sorry.
you gotta stop scrolling when I'm reading a sentence.
Okay, but
If
people
you
have to
think that
keep
it
up.
is really important to teach evolution to the young people, then go start yourself a private school, charge tuition, and teach evolution to those who want to pay to come and learn it. That's what a university is.
This
It
is like
is.
the real professional way where Vashanti has not opened up a version of her own, so she has to rely on the screen share.
I want to point out,
Why
by
would
the
I
way,
want to open up my own?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's already polluting
Gee, I don't know.
it's already polluting my C drive.
Yeah, I don't want that on my hard drive.
I'm
Thanks, though.
You know you don't have to oh, whatever. Okay.
gonna also point out that I went to a private high school that my parents were charged tuition for, and they did teach me evolution, and it was a Catholic high school. So just putting it out there.
Yeah, but Catholics aren't Christian.
That's true. Yeah, they don't count as Christians.
What if the Catholics read the New King or the King James version of the Bible though? Then are they Christian?
I don't know. Although they tend not to. I think
Well,
They
it
they
would be
tend
an
not to.
exception.
I
It would
believe
be
right
an
now
exception.
the Douay Rheims is the official English translation of the Catholic
Is it
Church.
really?
I thought it was.
I thought they had one. It was called like the new. It's not the new Revised Standard Version. It's called something that's.
Oh, maybe
similar
I'm
to
wrong. Look, I'm not Catholic. I've never been Catholic, so like, I don't have my finger on the pulse of English language
Anyway.
Catholicism. But also, one quick thing
That.
is,
All right.
if you ever want to have a nice little fun thing to do, is go on Twitter and see just how many groups of Christians have been no true Scotsman out of Christianity by other Christians.
All of them.
Yeah, basically.
I saw a thread on it yesterday.
It's literally
all of
all of them. There are no Christians left, guys.
All of them. There are no Christians. It's Schrodinger's Christians. You're all Christians and are not Christian at the same time. All right. Here we go. But it is deceitful, wrong, and wicked to use the public's tax money to promote this religion of evolution in our public schools. We've got to put a stop to it.
Is this a manifesto
quote just
or
a
a
few more
dissertation?
Right? Like I said. And he also says, let me quote just a few more here. He's already said that before, whatever.
Yeah.
David Kitts in Paleontology and Evolutionary Thought magazine said, evolution, at least in the sense that Darwin speaks of it, cannot be detected within the lifetime of a single observer. Correct.
Well, it depends on what exactly you're talking about. Like with
Well,
yeast
exactly,
and
but it's
bacteria,
like-
you can, but like cats and dogs, no, not really.
No. It cannot be detected. No, it cannot be detected on the scale that you think within a lifetime of a human being.
Actually,
That
that's
just can't-
even then
just
that's not
cherry pick that.
entirely true. So there is a married couple who are scientists working in the Galapagos Islands, and they've been actually tracking year-to-year evolution of Darwin's finches, which are tanagers, not
Sweet.
technically finches.
Side note, also plants. Humans have spent a lot of time cultivating and
Yeah.
dealing with, as well as sheep and different kinds of chickens. If you look at
And dogs.
and dogs as well. So yeah, it's just wrong.
So plants, animals, protists.
So
bacteria.
basically everything, but it's
Yeah,
just
there are-
I mean, there
In
is
case.
currently a thing going around that may or may not have people on lockdown, and because it keeps
No,
changing.
no, that's just variation
stuff.
within a kind.
The
It's
unspe-
different variations of the same thing.
the unspecified virus.
I didn't even say that, but okay.
As Creaky calls it, the lager lurgy.
Actually, that reminds me. I was on with Jackson, and Dr. Charles Jackson said, "Oh, nothing can gain new functions," and it's like the irony of listening to this in 2021, after a bat virus gained some new function, is extremely rich. So, yeah. Apropos of nothing, back
All
up
right.
to topic.
It is not part of science. It is just a religion. Here is a quote from Meyer's book, Systematic and Origin of Species. That title doesn't make any grammatical... Sorry, my brain broke. Darwin never really did discuss the origin of species in his On the Origin of Species.
I mean, he did though, because he absolutely did.
That's the name of the book. Okay. Colin Patterson, the curator at the British Museum of Natural History, said no one has ever produced a species by mechanisms of natural selection. No one has gotten near to it.
I mean,
who cares what some curator said?
plus, I mean, at the time,
the whole consensus of like biology is that evolution's a thing, but some curators like, nah, it never happened.
Plus,
so let's take his word first.
How would a person produce a species by natural selection? You could produce it. We have produced new species by artificial selection, but by very virtue of a person doing the thing, that makes it artificial selection. And we have also watched organisms evolve into new species by natural selection, but no person did it because, again, that wouldn't be natural selection. It would be artificial.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know.
Control. All right. Mechanisms for evolution that try to tell us work so well are mutations and natural selection. That's what evolution is. Oh my god.
I mean, that's a whole lot.
No one has ever produced a new species by those means.
Yes, they absolutely have. So here's one fun thing though. They absolutely have. There's a number of examples of speciation through mutation and natural selection, both in labs and in nature. So for instance, there's an apple worm basically in North America. But the thing is that it natively didn't actually live on apples. It actually lived on various things like blackberries and things. The reason for that is because apples are not native to North America. They're an import from Europe. But when these flies started encountering apples, they started laying some eggs on apples, and apple maggots started to form. Now, these flies actually control their mating season hormonally. It's a genetically controlled mechanism. And currently, there are 2 populations of these flies in North America, where there was only one once, and they are actually separated genetically based on the timing of their reproduction. And that's because apples come into season at a different time than their native food sources. So now, one population of these flies is actually evolving to be reproductively isolated because it just doesn't breed at the same time as the other population. And they infect apples, and the other ones continue infecting native fruit like blackberries. Right there, speciation.
Weird.
Or you've also done
chat's
things
on
like...
fire.
Oh.
Icarus says, and insert random profession said that evolution is false. Yeah, that's pretty much what this whole section is. Paul Nolan right after that says, evolution ain't Marvel, there is no end game.
Chat is on fire.
I love it. Blackberries are going extinct anyway. Do you mean the fruit or the phone? Because I'm looking at my phone right now. It says BlackBerry Key 1, so...
Yeah, the phones aren't the phones already extinct?
No, they have a partnership with different manufacturers. I think this one's by TCM or something, but it runs it's basically a combo of the BlackBerry security suite and the Android operating system. So it's like 2 for 1.
Okay.
BlackBerry itself, the company, pretty well has gone under and has partnered.
It's still there. They've just shifted into like...
Yeah, it's surviving.
They shifted into like enterprise solutions. They're not focusing on in-house manufacture of phones. They outsource that now. So they have lots of software shit that they got going on right now. And if I'm not mistaken, the DoD still uses their security suite and all of their government
just like
phones.
when you find out Nokia is still technically around.
TC the Unbeliever asks...
They go by Alcatel now.
TC the Unbeliever asks, didn't insects in the London Underground speciate during the Blitz? So actually, my understanding is that may be a somewhat exaggerated version of what actually happened, but I don't actually know enough to really take a firm stance on that. It's just that some of the things that I've looked into indicate that perhaps the typical story of the London Underground mosquito as a separate species may be exaggerated. But we do have examples of our ability to speciate fruit flies by just feeding them different things in captivity, which is artificial selection. So I believe it was like one group got maltose and the other group just got sucrose as their main calorie source. And then after several months, when the populations were brought back together, they refused to mate. And I believe, I'm not even sure if they could artificially fertilize each other's eggs. And yeah, that's speciation. So what are you going to do?
How about I do this one more paragraph, and then Chesh, if you want to take over, I'll just finish this one out. Okay. No one has ever produced a new species by those means. Evolution is a religion. If evolutionists want to believe it, that is fine, but that is just their faith. I want to believe that God created it, and that is my faith, and I readily admit it.
Okay, Kent.
I've never heard him say that
bro.
over and over and over again
Fuck Cam.
in previous paragraphs.
All right, so I'm at many say.
Yes.
Many say we can't mix religion and the public schools. In the first place, that is a faulty argument.
Is it? Seems like a pretty good one to me.
The public schools desperately need some religion.
Uh,
They were started by
No.
religious institutions.
oh my goodness.
There is nothing wrong with putting our religion in the public schools.
Yes, there is, because
Those
We
are all
do
individual
need
sentences,
religion.
by the way. Those are
Like,
all just...
we literally, no school needs religion. Thank you. The
Are
end.
all of those sentences wrong?
look, I'm
The
okay
entire
with a
paragraph?
comparative
I think they're
religion
wrong as sentences.
or like a religions of the world section in like a social studies class, right? Because I do think it's important that like as a functioning adult you have like a basic understanding of what other people believe. So that, you know, I don't know, like you don't offer like your coworker a meat or a ham sandwich. You know, maybe bring in some roast beef for that guy. But like,
Nom, nom, nom.
yeah, there's the school
That's
shouldn't be
not really-
instructing you to believe a religion.
Yeah, that's. Well, I think Kent is implying that he wants the schools to instruct people to believe in Christianity.
Oh yeah, that's definitely what you're going with.
And
Of
that
course.
does not belong in school.
No.
But
I am a
also,
Christian,
he
I don't
wants
want
his
anyone
very,
forcing
very
any-
specific brand of
The
Christianity.
whole point of you got to believe it, man. You can't be forced to believe something, be it religion or whatever. You can be forced to act.
If you could be forced to
in a way
believe something, you'd
you
think
can't be
that
forced to
Kent would
believe
believe in evolution by now.
Right? Or logic or thinking.
I'm definitely a big on the
Spell
train
check.
that your beliefs
check.
your beliefs choose you more than you choose your beliefs. You can't just be like, I choose to believe in this thing now. Like, no.
Yeah, there is a mind over matter argument to be had in some cases about some
I mean,
things.
your initial exposure to belief systems is like largely based on your parents and your neighborhood. So yeah, you don't really pick that. But you do. Lots of people change later.
They do, but
yeah,
I don't think-
initially
Lots
it's
of people
not your
just
choice.
choose. Lots of people will choose to live in this lovely valley of la la la. I can't hear you,
Yeah.
and delusion.
Well,
And I
wanna
don't mean religious people, by the way.
I don't. Well, not specifically.
No, not specifically.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to get super into like whether or not there's choice in various things. So we'll just keep going. But
Yeah, that's a whole nother philosophical discussion.
oh goodness, one I don't actually
Act
really
as if
want to
it
have
is.
on the channel.
The second argument that many will say is, well, you can't mix church and state. That is not found anywhere in the Constitution. That is in Jefferson's writings, the separation of church and state. The Constitution
also-
says that
The Constitution says that Congress can't make religious laws. So, like, that is considered separation. He just doesn't use that specific phrasing until his personal correspondence.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Plus, we also have the problem that in the United States, there's this thing called precedent. And the precedence with the Supreme Court is that, yeah, there's a separation of church and state. So whether or not that phrase appears in the Constitution, until you get that precedent overthrown, which is unlikely, to say the least, yeah, the separation of church and state is part of the Constitution. Because it's part of constitutional law.
the Constitution says that the government can make no law respecting an establishment of a religion or hindering the free exercise thereof. Teaching our young people that we evolved from monkeys is hindering the religion of Christianity.
Oh
What?
my god.
It's really
So
not.
Kent can't be a Christian
It's not.
because young people are taught that we evolved from monkeys.
I think he's saying that the young people will be less likely to be
Oh,
Christian if
so
they're taught
that's
they
not
evolved from
hindering
monkeys.
the religion of
No,
Christianity.
it's hindering
Well,
Kent's
and-
weirdo version of it, maybe.
Yeah. Well,
And
not
the
even that,
thing
'cause
is, he
could still
admitted
be-
that.
I'm sorry, what was that, Vishanti? Okay, never
Um,
mind. Oh, wait.
Sorry.
I'm so
Kent
confused.
admitted that his whole thing about hating evolution isn't really on the scientific merits. It's just that it threatens his religious beliefs.
Oh, yeah.
So he doesn't really care about actual scientific arguments. He just feels threatened by it on a personal level and has decided that he's just not going to accept it.
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning of this chapter, he told us this was deeply personal for him.
Mhm.
He has to call evolution a religion because he can't attack it as a science.
There's also
Mhm.
like an entire degree of that has to do with if he didn't personally want to believe it and decided that he wanted to go do his own thing, that would be fine. But that's not what he's doing. He's like, this personally bothers me. I don't believe it, and neither should you.
Also, I want to point out, we've got about 30 people who have not hit like on the video. Come on, guys. Help me out
Maybe I'll
here.
hit dislike.
Well, yeah, I can't actually see the dislike counter here. So,
I love
Thanks,
what
YouTube.
David B228585 says in the chat. Objection, Your Honor. On what grounds? It's devastating to my case.
Yeah.
wasn't that a Lionel Hutz
Yeah.
quotation?
Wasn't that in Liar Liar?
Or maybe it is on
Yeah.
Liar Liar. Oh, well,
Objection.
you're right.
It's devastating to
There's
my
too many.
case.
There's too many comedy lawyers out there. I can't keep them straight.
Yeah.
That's where I got my display name on Twitter, is from Boston Legal, by the way.
Nice.
It's
Yeah.
causing them to doubt their faith and needs to be eliminated. Exterminate. The First Amendment goes against the teaching of evolution.
What?
It is a hindrance.
Oh.
I just like how all these are just individual sentences. It's
Right.
just
He's
the First Amendment goes against teaching evolution. It is a hindrance to religious activity.
These are just bullet
Evolution is
points.
just a religion.
These
We
are
must
bullet points that he
establish
just
a
decided to
religion.
put into.
Kent has like the compositional skills of like a smart 7-year-old is basically what's
like
happening.
this-
Smart 7-year-old.
This would sound
Man, I'm-
better spoken. Right?
Probably, yeah.
This is something that sounds like a script, and if you were to perform it to say, like, it's causing them to doubt their faith and needs to be eliminated. The First Amendment goes against the teaching of religion. It's a hindrance to our religious activity. It sounds a lot better than if I just read
It's like
it.
a speech, yeah. Blood
But
alone moves
also-
the wheels of history.
Gotta get the Mussolini speech in there.
It's all right. It's all right, Benito. Turn that frown upside down.
Well,
Ba-da-ba-da-ba.
for a little while, and then it went all crashing down.
Evolution is
Oh,
just a
such a good one.
religion. We must establish early in the discussion that the creation/evolution question cannot be scientifically resolved because both are religious faiths. They are dogmas.
See, the thing is, Kent would love for that to be true because then it wouldn't be so laughably obvious what a moron he is.
I mean, this is the thing. He makes an interesting point, and his interesting point here is nothing to do with what he's actually saying. It has to do with like the rhetoric of a position and political change. And so he makes a very good point. If you wanted to have a good argument and prevent this from happening, establishing that evolution is a religion early on would be really good if that's the direction you were trying to make things go. Unfortunately, you didn't do that, so it didn't work.
Yeah. And I will point out,
Yes.
yeah, you can't just spam one word in chat, guys. Just a heads up. Anyway,
Really revolves because both are religious faiths. They are dogmas. They are what you believe. People come into this. That's just taking the word belief and
I
using
just
it in two
hate
different ways.
that use of the word belief, because normally what does belief mean? It just means
It's
that you
a-
think something is true.
It's a bait and switch.
Yeah, like we talked about it last time. Like I believe that I'm sitting in front of my computer. Okay, that's great, but that's not my religion. In fact, I think last time we had people type in chat things that they believe but that they didn't consider their religion. There were a whole lot of beliefs in there.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like taking faith and flipping it, or the word theory and bait and switching. It's
Yeah.
like theory is this, and this. Like a theory is like an idea. Like you watched a movie and you came up with a theory about what you think happened. You know, it's
film
just
theory.
it's a game theory. Like and so
I,
evolution is the same kind of theory, and it's like no.
Mm-mm.
I like what Antiroinen says in the chat. Is Kent's argument literally the Constitution says that all religions must be allowed, but other religions make people not believe in ours. Therefore, the Constitution demands we ban religions.
I think it. So it's a little incoherent. So it's hard to say exactly. my take
I think it's
is
a stretch to say he's making an argument.
Yeah, well, my take is that what he's trying to say is that he would like it if, on the grounds that evolution is a religion, if public schools didn't teach it at all, and they didn't teach anything that anyone of any religion could object to, even though at that point you'd basically be out of things to talk about. Because, like, then what? Are, like, the Christian scientists going to come up and say, like, hey guys, antibiotics are actually a tool of Satan. You should get all of your healing just from Jesus. Ask our founder, who died in horrible agony while under the care of physicians.
Well, funny story about that. Val Kilmer, the actor, is a Christian Scientist and a fairly devout one. And even in his like most recent like big interview with, I think, People or Time, he refuses to acknowledge that his throat cancer was throat cancer because he doesn't want to give it like any kind of power over him. And so, yeah, it's kind of sad.
Yeah, so the thing is, if we go to the extreme that Kent wants us to, and we're just going to not teach anything that a religion could object to, we're going to have to like ignore all of health class, because instead you should be praying, apparently, or at least that's according to some people.
I feel like that it would be a really interesting world, and I would almost want to see a book written about it to see like, what if we followed along what Kent wanted back like in the 70s?
Is it going to be a dystopian YA novel?
Well, maybe. I don't know. Yes. For whatever reason, like, America was dictated by specifically like the evangelical fundamentalist young earth creationist groups, and so all education is going, but it's only America.
As long as as long as there's a plucky 17 to 19-year-old girl in a love triangle.
A couple, no.
And if it's not a young adult novel, it's going to end up being the Handmaid's Tale.
Can somebody please go to our writer's prompt and go throw this prompt out there?
Yes, but include the bit about the plucky girl and the love triangle.
Take that out. Take that out.
No, that has to be in there. Look, if it doesn't have
your own twist.
I want to actually read it.
If it doesn't have a plucky girl and a love triangle, is it really dystopian fiction?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, it's more likely to be dystopian fiction and less of a teen romance book.
I broke Chesh.
No! There's a
this
channel
next paragraph. Oh no.
There's a channel I definitely recommend everybody take a look at if you haven't. It's called Terrible Writing Advice.
Yes.
10 out of 10. Please go watch that channel.
Excellent.
They're amazing.
People come into this argument.
People come into this argument having already decided what they want to believe based on their lifestyle. Do they? If a person has a wicked lifestyle and wants to get rid of God somehow, then it is only natural that he would choose the evolutionary idea to try to leave God out.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you know what that means. It means if they're gay. That's all that means, is he's talking about gay people.
By the way, by way of giving just a little more fact that evolution is just a religion and not scientific, Stephen Jay Gould, a noted evolutionist, said in The Fossil Record... The fossil record with its abrupt transitions offers no support for gradual change. All paleontologists...
Stop. He's arguing between like punctuated equilibrium and like gradual change.
I'm so happy about the way this ends.
I can't keep going. It is gold.
All paleontologists know that the fossil record contains precious little in the way of intermediate forms. Transitions between major groups are characteristically abrupt. KJV, get book title.
Get book title.
That is also characteristically abrupt.
That is amazing.
Get book title.
Look, it's fine to have something like that. Like if you know that this is the quotation and you're like, I just forgot the book title, whatever. Okay, but you go back as you're editing. You know, that's a thing. Yeah, it's where you go back and read back over and fix your mistakes. Yeah. Also, what does KJV mean? Is that like a note to a person?
King James Version.
Yeah, but that doesn't make any sense here.
No, because
know.
Stephen Jay Gould didn't write the King James version.
King James did.
Not any of the book titles. So, like, I don't know what he's trying to do.
We all know that King James wrote the Bible in the
Also, I
year
don't-
1611.
I feel like that quote isn't in the King James Bible.
Yeah, I'm
I feel
pretty
like
sure.
that was
In
just-
any of the book
I
titles.
feel like that was just copy pasted a bunch and then.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's so it's
Because all the other citations are King James
It
version.
was-
So whoever was doing this, whatever her name was
But
this
I
poor
think this was-
teenage girl who was like, "Oh my god."
But I think this was done on an actual typewriter though, or well, maybe not though, because like
Maybe.
the letters are pretty.
I would
even.
say word processor.
Okay, yeah, that might be.
But, also,
But I just like the mental
I
image
think
of her
that
slaving
Get-
over a typewriter while shackled to it physically.
I think the Get book title was meant to go where the sentence cut off. Stephen Jay said in.
Oh, okay, that might be. Anyway, that like
Yeah.
Oh,
this
they-
should
That's
not
me being very
have made
generous.
it to your final.
They might have
draft.
just. Well, yeah, it's like in and then put the quote in and then just put get book title at the end of the site at the end of it, so that way they would remember to go back and do that, and then they just didn't. Evolution is their faith. That's a semicolon.
You don't see those too often.
There's a few he should have used before, like when
Yes.
he started a sentence with the word by.
Yep.
It doesn't matter.
One for
that-
null
that
points
sentence
out to me that
wasn't a
that he
sentence.
doesn't think King James made the Bible. Yes, I am aware that King James did not actually write the Bible in the year 1611. Yes, thank you.
Evolution is their faith. They believe it because that is what they want to believe. In Newsweek magazine, Is a Man a Subtle Accident, November 3rd, 1980, the missing link between man and ape, whose absence has comforted fundamentalists since the days of Darwin, is merely the
Yes.
most.
I think you put the emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Right?
Guys, I'm just trying to read. Please. The more scientists have searched for the transitional forms that lie between species, the more they have been frustrated. I'm so frustrated. There are no transitional forms between species because that is not the way we got here. Gould said Eldridge in Paleobiology, King James Version, get title, said.
Good title. Amazing.
King James version get title.
get title.
Oh, that's so amazing.
I need to scroll.
Oh, sorry.
Wow.
At the higher level of evolutionary transition between basic morphological design, gradualism has always been in trouble. Though it remains the official position of most Western evolutionists, smooth intermissions between different animals are almost impossible to construct. Even in thought experiments, there is certainly no evidence for them in fossil records. Curious mosaics like Archaeopteryx do not count.
Why not? Why don't?
Why
we
not?
count? I mean, that's exactly what you would expect.
Reasons.
Oh, right. Reason. I forgot about reasons.
I'll have
Because
to
some
buy the
people
book,
come
Get
into the
Title.
discussion believing already what they want to believe.
Well, you know, that is probably a big part of it.
Let's publish a book called Get Title.
Should we take a brief break? I need to refill my tea.
Yeah, actually, it is a pretty good time for a brief break. So we're gonna actually take a quick intermission.
Don't forget, guys, get title.
Yeah, get title. KJV
Yes,
get title. That is like the
KJV get
quote
title.
of the day. KJV get title.
KJV
Please
get title.
name this. Put a subtitle to the name of this stream that says KJV get
Oh,
title.
we absolutely can. Hold on. That's not gonna be a
Yes.
subtitle. Kent Hovind's dissertation is gonna be the subtitle. KJV,
KJV.
colon
Gotta throw bib and Kate in there,
get
too.
title
Title.
is the main title of the stream now.
Yes, yes. I'm so happy.
Amazing.
That is now the new title of the stream. KJV gets title.
Incredible.
All right, guys, we're gonna take a quick break and we're gonna be back in just a little bit. Talk to you in a bit.
evolution, and I had to protect my kids from understanding it. We will not give in to the thinkers.
You people are as loud as you are. Now get back on your turnip trucks and go home. That is an insultingly accurate stereotype, sir. As a professor of science, I assure you that we did, in fact, evolve from filthy monkey men.
I cannot speak for you, sir, but my ancestors were not monkeys. They were orangutans, hard-working, patriotic orangutans.
Dr. Banjo?
In the fur. And I remind you that evolution is merely a theory, like gravity or the shape of the Earth.
Hey, Professor, I'm a flying spaghetti monster. You seriously believe I'm descended from some kind of flightless manicotti?
Yes!
Oh, please. A far more logical explanation is the undisprovable science of creaturism. All life was created in its present form 7,000 years ago by a fantastical creature from outer space.
Bunk!
Oh? If your elitist East Coast evolution is real, why has no one found the missing link between modern humans and ancient apes?
We did find it. It's called Homo erectus.
Then you have proven my case, sir. For no one has found the link between apes and this Homo erectus.
Yes, they have. It's called Homo habilis.
Aha! But no one has found the missing link between ape and the so-called Homo habilis.
Yes, they have. It's called Australopithecus africanus.
Oh, I've got you now. Fair enough. But where, then, is the missing link between apes and this Darwinius Macilli? Answer me that, Professor.
Oh, okay, granted that one missing link is still missing. But just because we haven't found it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Pshaw! Things don't exist simply because you believe in them. Thus saith the almighty creature in the sky!
All right, well, that section is almost certainly going to have to get cut out of this, and if you're watching this after the fact, what I almost certainly had to cut out was a little clip of Dr. Banjo describing how Kent is acting right now with his missing links. Yeah, so, look, I knew when I got that clip in there, I was like, yeah, that's going to have to get cut out of the clip, but you guys seen it live, you'll get to see it. And that's just a little treat for everyone who sees it live. And also, this whole thing's probably going to get demonetized. But then I'll cut that video bit out, and it'll probably be okay again. Whatever. Anyway, here we go. Where were we? I think we were still at Chesh for at least a little bit.
Yes. In his review of Stephen Stanley's book, Macroevolution, D.S. Woodruff said, fossil species remain unchanged throughout most of their history, and the record fails to contain a single example of a significant transition. There aren't any examples. Don't fall for the statement that evolution is a proven fact. It is absolutely not. It
is, but okay.
It is their religion versus my religion. No others.
Yeah, I do love the ridiculous dichotomy that Kent has. Like, Hinduism, Buddhism, Judaism, no.
Well, the science of evolution could care less, or couldn't care less about Kent's religion.
It's true. That's why there's so many Christians in science who do evolutionary biology. Yeah. Which I'm not kidding, there are a lot of them. They're not the majority, but yeah. So you want me to switch over?
No, I'm just making sure that nobody has anything else to say.
I think we're good.
I will quickly admit that what I have is a faith. I cannot prove creation, and you cannot prove evolution. If we approach it...
I could prove it to the point that anyone who is not intellectually dishonest would accept it.
But also, again, I know this is just semantics, but proof is the domain of mathematics and logic. It is not the domain of science, despite what we kind of colloquially use that for. Science is in the business of providing the best available explanation and coherent model for what we have data-wise at the time. And according to the data that we have right now, the best and most coherent explanation for how animals got here and how people and plants and all this stuff is evolution.
Yep. Also, I'm glad that my stream hasn't gone down. Apparently 2 minutes isn't quite enough to get it taken down completely. It'll almost certainly be enough to have it demonetized, though.
But yeah, and like the thing is he's like, oh, nobody can prove this, nobody can prove that. But the thing is, you can test evolution. You can test the mechanisms of it, but you cannot test the supernatural.
Actually, there's an
You can
interesting.
also do a lot of disproving in science. That
Oh,
is
yeah.
one thing that you can do.
Yeah, it's
And
more in
guess
the
what
business
you
of
can
disproving.
You can disprove a lot of Kent's ideas.
So there's actually an interesting.
That's what we call falsification.
There's an interesting thing about phylogenetic analyses, right? So phylogenetic analyses are always tests of common ancestry, because the way you do a phylogenetic analysis, right, is you put the genetic data into a software program that's going to be doing a lot of statistics for you. Technically, you could do it by hand, but like, yeah, no one has time to do that. But one of the things that you have to do is you actually have to set like thresholds for how weak a tree is for it to get discarded. And the thing is that if separate ancestry is true, then what the program by default will spit back is that there just are no available trees that it can generate that meet the threshold or are above it. But if you manually just lower all your thresholds so that it's just like, hey, whatever tree you come up with, you can just send it, output it. What you'll get is a whole host of contradictory, low-confidence trees with a lot of polytomies. And a polytomy is where you have more than two branches coming from a single node. And it means that the system couldn't resolve the relationship between those three, but it thinks that those three are at that point in the phylogeny. But that's not typically what we see. But it is what we see in a few instances. So, for instance, if you just take viruses, you do get that. Because common ancestry for viruses is almost certainly not true. Viruses probably have separate ancestry. And that's why you can actually test it. And when people are like, oh, but these phylogenetic programs always spit out a tree, yes, but they can spit out trees that are so low confidence that they fail to disconfirm the null hypothesis, which is separate ancestry. So yes, every phylogenetic study that has ever been conducted and come away with any kind of high confidence tree is a refutation of the idea of separate ancestry for the taxa in question.
Okay, but it's also, side note, it's not this versus this. Evolution doesn't care.
Yeah, evolution doesn't care about your religion. The theory of evolution is in no way about disproving Christianity. If you want to believe that Jesus
or
died
God
on
at all.
Yeah, if you want to believe that there's a God or that Christ died on the cross to save you from your sins, or if you want to believe that Lord Krishna became incarnate to help spread enlightenment, I don't care. Evolution is just like, yeah, okay, fine. As long as you get that humans and chimpanzees have a common ancestor, and they also have a common ancestor with like banana plants, we're all good.
Pine trees and elephants.
You know, I was wearing that shirt for the first episode of the new Non Sequitur show.
Yeah. I will quickly admit that what I have is faith. I cannot prove evolution. You cannot prove. I cannot prove creation. You cannot prove evolution. If we approach it on some common ground that both ideas are religious, it will make a lot more sense. It is not scientific science versus religion. Don't let them use that phrase when they talk about the controversy of creation versus evolution. It is not science versus religion. It is religion versus religion. Both of them are simply religious beliefs. Side note, I did have somebody ask if I was going to debate Kent. This is like a year ago. Somebody was like, are you ever going to debate Kent on non-sec? And I said, I will debate Kent, but I'm going to take the pro-Christian side, young Earth creationist side,
Yes.
and he's going to take the pro-evolution side.
I would love to see that.
I would love
That
to.
would be great.
Actually,
That would be
here,
great.
can I give a little sneak preview about Monday?
Yeah.
So there's a fair chance that Kent Hovind's ex is going to be on Monday. Yeah. So, Chesh, if you check the official Non-Sec show email, you'll find an email waiting for you from Cindy Lincoln.
No. I woke up and came on here, so I haven't checked any emails yet.
Okay. Well,
I woke up, made breakfast, ate breakfast, watching where you guys were, and then joined in as soon as I didn't have food in my mouth.
In case you guys didn't know, I'm scheduled to be on Non Sequitur show on Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That's the U.S. times. If you're in some other godforsaken country, like, I don't know, like Germany or Israel or something, you'll just have to look up the time zones yourself.
Hey.
Apologies to Germany and Israel. I literally picked those two because I happen to know there are people from both of those countries in the chat right now.
Hey, didn't we, like, last one of these dissertation videos, we were like, hey, where are you located? Like, do you live in a city that's older than this time frame?
Oh yeah,
Because
and
it was
all of
like,
the non-US people are like, yeah, obviously I am. And in fact, also, so are Bent and I. We are, in fact, in the United States, in a city that's over 300 years old. Yay! All right, sorry, let's just keep going.
Okay, where was I? Oh, the effect of these religious beliefs has always been of interest to me. If we teach our kids in public schools that they are merely animals, then they will act like animals. I don't know if Ken has been to an actual high school recently, but it really doesn't matter what religion you are. If you're a teenager, you're acting like an animal.
At my high school, we all acted like plants.
Oh, there you go. That's cool. We should not be surprised. It's the sentence.
Well, I'm not surprised, so good job.
All right, good
I
advice.
guess.
Just guys, don't be surprised. Goodness, that's so okay.
If we teach kids in school that they are a creation of God, that God is their creator and will someday be their judge, we can expect their behavior to be different because of their basic philosophy.
Okay, I'm going to say this. I know a lot of kids who were raised as Christians who were not terribly well behaved. I also knew kids who weren't raised as Christians who were, and vice versa. I don't think it's a very strong correlation between being well behaved as a child and being in a Christian household. Like, I don't see it. I guess I'll take over for a bit.
Sure.
The teaching of evolution is important because, number one, it affects our society. Many people down through history, in the name of evolution, have some dramatic effects on our... have had some dramatic effects on our society.
Oh my god.
And we're just going straight for Godwin's Law. Look, I'm not even drinking alcohol, but I'm still going to take a drink for going straight into it. So,
Didn't even get one straight.
The former leader of the National Socialist German Workers' Party, for instance, was an avid evolutionist.
Haven't we already gone over this?
Yes, this is at least our second instance of Godwin's Law in this one dissertation as separate events.
God.
Yeah. In order to comprehend his reasoning, and no, we're not saying his name, one must go back to evolution to understand why he did the things that he did and thought the way he thought. No, Hitler was... Okay, look. It's contentious at best, the idea that Hitler was a Christian. I'm entirely unconvinced by the arguments that he was. However, he was a theist and he was a creationist. Those are not things that are in contention. Hitler put Darwin's book on the list of books to be banned. Anyway, I said the name. F.
Twice.
But also, he and the Ahnenerbe were very strong into the occult, and what would be very popular with someone like spirit science today. Like, alternate mythologies of, like, the origin of the Aryans and shit like that.
Well, we already know that spirit science is sort of, like, lackluster in his ideas about consent. So I'm not entirely surprised that he probably be into the same things as this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
And by the way, when I say that, that's on the basis of him admitting to it on audio.
Yep, I've seen the clip.
If you actually go back and look at some of my spirit science videos, I link to that clip.
How many people have said, well, that's not really what he was saying?
Oh, I'm sure a bunch of his apologists. Which is probably also the case for Kent. Like when Kent says things like, oh, I think the government should just, kill all the people with the mean gene and all the gay people. Yeah, I'm sure he has some apologists out there like, oh, Kent was hem and hawing about exactly what Kent meant by that, when in fact he was just advocating for genocide.
Kent literally repeated the exact same rhetoric that came out of the Inquisition, where it's like, we should put these people to death, but the church people shouldn't do it. We should let the secular authorities do it. I'm like, that's exactly what the Inquisition did.
Now that the actual questioning part of the Inquisition is done, it's not us that's going to kill anyone. It's the state, because yeah, okay. Anyway, he slaughtered the Jews and hated the blacks because he was an evolutionist. Wrong. He was...
Citation?
Yeah. He thought it was his duty to aid evolution in improving the human race. No, he thought that various other human races had been created inferior, and that interbreeding with the divinely created Aryan race that was the superior Ubermensch was a bad thing. But he didn't think this because of evolution. He specifically thought it because he thought they were created inferior. They were created at best to serve the wonderful Aryans, which, by the way, is basically not a real thing. There's a people group called Aryans who, invaded India, and that's why a lot of India has Indo-European languages, but they have really no actual connection to, like, Northern Europeans, and yeah, it was all just made up, basically. He taught and believed that each of the different races in the world were actually different species of man, kind of. That it was the job of the superior race, or superior species, Germany. No, not just Germany. There were other Aryan groups that he thought existed.
I thought Germany was a country, not a species.
Yeah, even the person
No,
we're
they're a
talking about.
kind.
Oh, they're a kind, or are they a king?
They're a king. Ah.
Anyway, in the name of evolution, he closed down Christian schools in Germany in the early 1930s. Okay, but he also kept many of them going and signed a concordat with the Pope. Like, the idea
those weren't in the name of evolution.
Right.
Those aren't real Christians anyway.
Oh, and for those who don't know, a concordat
schools.
is basically just what you call it when you sign a treaty with the Papal States. There's a
And
special...
for those who don't know it, this was pre-Young Earth creationism.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there were essentially no young Earth, anything you would ever recognize as young Earth creationism at this point. Let me give you a quote here.
This is a nice little thing that you'll get. TC the Unbeliever says, not to be confused with the Aryans.
What are the Arleans?
All right. Sir Arthur Keith in his
The
book...
Aryans were a heretical sect.
Yes, the
So,
Aryan...
yeah,
Well,
that's
so, yeah.
good.
Real quick, the Aryans were basically the people whose ideas were condemned at the first ecumenical council, the Council of Nicaea, the one that everyone gets everything wrong about. And even though that Arianism was condemned at that council, they persisted for a long time in many parts of Europe and like Western Asia. In fact, a lot of the conflicts in like Western Rome between Germanic barbarian tribes and the empire were actually between Aryan Christian Germanic people. And also when you have the quote-unquote enlightening of Germany by St. Boniface, a lot of the people he converted were Aryan Christians, not actual like pagans, like is often portrayed. Anyway, in his book Evolution and Ethics, 1947, page 10. Hey, that's actually not the worst citation. By Kent's standards, that's pretty good. The leader of Germany is an evolutionist, not only in theory, but as millions know to their cost in the rigor of his practice. For him, the natural front of Europe is only the evolutionary front. He regards himself and is regarded as the incarnation of will of Germany, the purpose of that being to guide the evolutionary destiny of the people. Well, I'm glad that Sir Arthur Keith said that. But it would be nice if, when claiming that person X believed Y, you actually had quotations from person X. But you notice who we haven't quoted in this entire section? Yeah, the man himself. Despite the fact that he has a relatively famous book laying out in broad terms most of his beliefs and ideas about politics. It's weird how we don't have a quote from that indicating how much of a fan of evolution he was. So anyway, the leader of the National Socialist German Workers' Party was an evolutionist, and it was the crazy doctrine of evolution that is fundamentally responsible for World War II. No. None of that is true. And look, we're not going to have a stream about the National Socialist German Workers' Party, because we already kind of did that on A Kent with Bent, and it was the worst thing that has happened on this channel in a long time.
Can you sum up what was fundamentally responsible for World War II?
So that's the thing, is there's not one thing, right? So you have things like the Treaty of Versailles having been like absurdly punitive towards Germany.
It's evolution, right? That's
right.
Part of evolution.
Which then caused like just absolute economic chaos. Germany was basically forced to pay off all of the war debts of all of the belligerents. And in order to do so, because those war debts were denominated in marks, they just printed a bunch of marks, which then resulted in hyperinflation. Poverty was rampant, and all of Europe.
That's evolution. Yeah,
right.
He's right.
And so then there's a situation where there's a whole lot of like political and economic discontent, and here comes this guy who's like, "Oh, hey, you know what? We're a strong nation, and we're gonna come back, and we're gonna reunite all the Germans." Oh, and who's a German? Oh, well, let me tell you. You see, in addition to the people like the French who have been screwing us over, we've also been infiltrated from the inside by the Jews. Yeah, and of course, it's not like it's hard to find anti-Semitism in,
I have to
30s
admit,
in
even
Germany.
though all that is evolution, I feel like all the papers I've read about evolution don't mention any of that.
Yeah, it's weird how so few papers go into like how terrible the Jews are, huh?
Hmm.
You're just reading the wrong evolutionary papers.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, so those are things that started World War II. Although also there were things like, you know...
Also, Atomic Squirrel says the Treaty of Versailles being absurdly unfair isn't strictly accurate. Well, they perceived it to be extremely unfair.
I actually do think it was pretty darn unfair. Probably not as
it was
unfair as they thought.
punitive.
Yeah. Especially given the fact
also,
that it's really hard to actually come to the conclusion that Germany was at fault for World War I in some special way.
Yeah, and
wanted
it
a
was
more brief
punitive,
summary,
but
'cause-
also people who wanted to stir up a certain
Right.
mindset said it's way more unfair than it ever had any right to be. So
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying the point is that it has nothing to do with the crazy doctrine of evolution.
Yeah, no, none of it has anything to do with evolution. There was also that time that the German government basically fomented a mini rebellion in Poland that then resulted in the repression of the rights of German citizens, ethnically German Polish citizens, which they then used as a pretext to invade Poland. Which also not evolution.
Insurrection? Or...
Yeah.
Also, as Ugly German Truth and others have noted many, many times, the leader of the National German Socialist or whatever was Lamarckian, and he absolutely would not know the difference between those.
So Vanelli 1998 points out for 199 that is the European side, not counting Asia. Yeah. So Japan and Germany had a treaty, but like they were on opposite sides of the world. Until Japan attacked the United States, there was very little chance of the war against Germany really spilling over into Japan. But then Japan did attack the United States, and as their problem, they cited various economic sanctions that the United States had imposed on them, as well as a few other things. But that was their biggest stated reason. But we're going to actually get into Japan now from Kent's perspective. So in Japan, the same thing was going on.
Kent knows a lot about Japan.
Oh, right. Kent is a big weeb. Are you kidding me? And there's Chesh broken for the second time.
Oh, just like weeaboo Kent Hovind. He's got a Naruto headband, and he's wearing it. Instead of like the floral pattern, it's the Akatsuki clouds.
Well, Chesh, now we know what should be your next art video. Is you drawing weeaboo Kent Hovind.
With like the big he's got like the anime eyes that are like from the top of the forehead all the way down below the nose.
Please, I will give you literal American freedom dollars if you draw a cartoon Matt Powell going, "Oh, senpai, notice me."
All right, so I've got my tablet right here, and I'm just gonna get this set up, and I'm just gonna hit on this.
Nice.
All right.
In Japan,
how much is anime Matt Powell worth to you? $5 freedom dollars?
Yeah, that's cool.
$10
I'll take $5 freedom dollars for stupid Matt Powell's face. unless you want like a nice one that you could put on like a mouse pad with like his boobies sticking out a little bit.
Oh, please no. All right, in Japan, the same thing was going on with the Shinto religion. Shinto. It's Shinto, but okay. This teaches that the Japanese people evolved from the gods. Oh my god, no. It says that some of them were descended from the gods. It doesn't say they evolved from the gods, and it was their destiny to rule the world. The degree to which traditional Shinto practices actually would imply some kind of manifest destiny on the part of Japan is a little bit iffy. I mean, certainly modern Shinto has completely like repudiated that idea, and I
thought it was repudiate.
Oh, sorry. Maybe it's not. It's repudiate. But anyway, and even at the time, there was dissent among like various Shinto priests and whatnot, and it was mostly a political co-option of Shinto practices as part of like a sort of creating a strong national identity in order to get people riled up to go conquer some places.
Can we take one moment real quick to say happy birthday to Erica?
Oh, yes. Gutsa Gibbon it is her birthday. So happy birthday, Gutsa Gibbon. Also, for certain parts of the world, like Egypt and Russia, it is also the second day of Christmas. So Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas and happy birthday.
Yes.
Happy birthday. Merry Christmas.
My birthday's not for another 2 weeks, so you guys got plenty of time to prepare.
Oh boy.
Let's see. Japan and Germany got
Somebody's
together.
getting an anime Bat Powell.
Okay, but hold on. This is
Oh boy,
an,
just what I wanted.
this is an
Anime
amazing
Matt
sentence.
Powell on a body pillow.
This is oh goodness. Here, listen to the sentence though. Japan and Germany got together, and we had an awful time in World War II.
You're
That
gonna
is a
have a bad time.
That's if Germany and Japan get together, you're gonna have a bad time.
Can Hovind just like popping in here as Captain Obvious?
Oh my goodness. Yes, the controversy and debate of evolution and creation has a tremendous influence on our
How
society.
many indentations do you need there?
I don't like that's a single sentence paragraph.
3 tabs in a row.
And yeah, it's way too
It's
dated.
ridiculous.
Joseph Stalin was another evolutionist. You mean the guy who banned the teaching of evolution
my
in favor of Lysenkoism? That guy was another evolutionist?
That was reverse psychology.
Oh, you mean the guy
40
who
chess.
put people trying to teach evolution in gulags while his people starved? Because his guy, Tropin Lysenko, said that, oh, well, you know, now that we have our Marxist socialist utopia, all the plants aren't going to compete because they have a class consciousness. So you can plant as many wheat seeds as will physically fit in a single plot of land, and they'll grow just fine. Yeah, turns out that's complete bullshit. People died. And I'm still upset about Shinto.
Joe. Yeah. You know what though? Stalin, I know that his whole like taking power thing was kind of a weird turn of events, like, but I don't know that it would have been much better if Trotsky had been the one to take over, because
Oh, no.
that dude had no chill.
Well, okay, look, it to a large extent comes down to like you can't centrally plan an economy that big.
No,
You physically, it's literally impossible.
yeah.
So
I just love
no
that
one would have
Trotsky's
done a
just
good
like,
job.
revolution, everyone gets a revolution, you get a revolution, you get a revolution, and Stalin's like, not Stalin, Lenin was like, bro, can you chill for like 2 seconds?
Yeah.
And Trotsky's like, no, I'm
No.
not settled down.
Dead.
Ow!
Joseph, I quote here from the Impact article published by the Institute for Creation Research in
Oh,
El
yeah, that's
Cajon,
what I-
California, October 1987. Impact article number 172. This is the best citation we've received so far.
I feel like he actually gave our poor typist here a piece of paper that said, here's the actual citation.
And then she just had to type it in.
And she was like, amazing.
Oh yeah, this is the greatest. Okay, Impact article entitled "Stalin's Brutal Faith."
And as we've realized that a lot of this is dictation for the most part,
Oh, yeah.
I have begun to now form more of a mental image of this situation where this poor girl is sitting at like a crappy school desk in Kent's basement with one overhead light that's kind of swinging, and she's chained to the floor as she's sitting at this typewriter, and her eyes are like all bagged and bloodshot because she's been at this for days. There's like a half-wrapped like filet of fish McDonald's thing
It's a
beside
very
her,
specific scenario.
and a couple like on the floor. There's some like like, you know, those little packets that have like the sweet and sour sauce in it. They've
Yeah.
been like licked clean,
Oh.
and they're just kind of scattered around the floor. And Kent got his hands behind his back and he's pacing back and forth, just talking. And her fingers are starting to bleed and they're all cramped because she's just trying to type as quickly as he's talking. And he's like, and he turns and is just like, citation. Get
By the way,
book reference.
all of this
In this
is based on no
scenario-
evidence.
I feel like this
in-
dissertation is evidence.
In this scenario that she's concocted, a black phone rings in the distance.
Yes.
the ghost of all his victims are calling her and she can't get to the phone.
And there's like a creak from upstairs because there's people upstairs and they're talking, and they're like, in the very far distance there's a muffled like and it's like God, it's like worship sessions and
Goodness.
Tesla Ranger says you've got to have a special name for next week's video. It's Kent's birthday. That is true.
Oh, is it?
He was a January baby, yeah.
Oh, I'm probably not going to mark Kent Hovind's birthday. That feels weird. Honestly, that feels weird. But anyway, one of the men that had a profound impact on Joseph Stalin when he was a young person was the man Charles Darwin and his book Origin of Species. I need a citation for that within the citation. At a very early age, while still a pupil at an ecclesiastical school, Comrade Stalin developed a critical mind and revolutionary sentiments. He began to read Darwin and became an atheist. I don't believe you,
Developed a
Mr.
critical mind, and
Right?
therefore,
Yeah.
GG, a friend of Stalin's, relates, I began to speak of God.
Good
Joseph, yeah, Joseph, I'm not going to try and pronounce that. Joseph heard me
Yeah,
out,
like it.
and after a moment of silence, he said, "You know they are fooling us. There is no God." I was astonished at these words. I had never heard anything like it before. Really? You'd never heard anyone who didn't believe in God? Okay. How can you say things so-and-so, or so-so? I exclaimed. I'll lend you a book to read. It will show you that the world and all living things are quite different from what you imagined, and you will see that all of this talk about God is sheer nonsense, Joseph said. What book is that? I inquired. Darwin. You must read it, Joseph impressed on me. Yeah, this sounds like something that didn't actually happen. Because, okay, let's take a look at this. So Kent is referencing this guy. It doesn't even give an author for this article. So he's referencing Institute for Creation Research, a very reliable source, who are themselves talking about hearsay from some dude who said he had a conversation with Stalin.
and it's very akin to the kind of conversations you hear apologists say when, like, William Lane Craig is like, I was talking to a guy on an airplane, and he was like, what?
Right. Yeah, well,
He was a professor of biology at this scum school.
Yeah, Kent does that a lot too. He'll say like, "Oh, I was on an airplane and I was sitting next to a Berkeley University professor," and it's like, "Were you really?"
And it's like somebody is citing that story from, like, somebody had said it on the pulpit as like an allegory, and so like, somebody wrote it down and then
Yeah. All right. So real quick, we're gonna get through.
The article was actually critical of the, this
Yeah.
story seemed kind of unbelievable. What he said was blah 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 blah, and then Kent just.
All right, we need to get through the next section, and then we're gonna wrap it up. So
I was gonna say I
almost
fact checked a little bit. Grisha, he's talking about Grisha Glurgita. And the story about evolution and stuff mostly comes from creationists. I mean, it was a real guy, but this is all like third degree hearsay.
So there's no actual evidence that this conversation really took place.
So I mean, it's buried deep in bibliographies, but it's just like personal correspondence. So who cares?
Yeah. A few pages later, another individual was reflecting on Stalin's youthful pursuits, and he added the following. A few pages later, dude, you earlier gave us the actual, like, oh, I guess you didn't give us the page number. Okay, never mind. Whatever. You should have, though. In order to disabuse the minds of our seminary students of the myth that the world was created in 6 days, we had to acquaint ourselves with the geological origin and age of the Earth and be able to prove them in argument. We had to familiarize ourselves with Darwin's writings. I mean, I don't object to seminarians having to be taught that science is what it is. I think that would make seminaries better. And in fact, I do happen to know that many seminaries do, in fact, teach people not to deny science. So there is that. Anyway, Joseph Stalin, in the name of evolution, and to help purify the Russian... No. There was no purification of the Russian race. Was responsible for killing 60 million of his own people during his reign of terror. The numbers are disputed, but that's like the right order of magnitude. We are still digging up mass graves of people that were slaughtered by Stalin. I mean, that was probably true at the time. I don't know if it's still true.
So I don't know if you guys are familiar right now with what's going on in Canada, and there's been some controversy because they found some mass graves of
I'm aware.
white young people that were killed or left to die, depending on how you decide you want to.
There's not a huge difference there, but okay.
Well, there's a difference. I feel like there's probably a difference between stabbing or strangling somebody and neglecting them to death. But
there is a difference. Okay.
Yeah, but it's not really the point. The point is that these people were purposefully deaded, unalived by religious organizations, and they are currently digging up mass graves over this, and there's a lot of controversy going around it, and a lot of it has very much to do with the purge of Native American people in Canada. So I feel like maybe Ken should shut the fuck up.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah. Anyway, so let's see. Bent, you got anything you need to plug before we get out of here?
No.
Okay. Later. Vishanti, You got anything that you need to plug?
Nope. The nap I'm about to take is going to be epic. So
Awesome.
Nice.
Chesh, what do you got to plug? I know you have something to plug.
Me and you are gonna be on Non Sequitur on Monday.
That is correct.
I'm so excited. It's gonna be isn't that not your first time on Non Sec?
Unless you count the Fools and Bull stream, then yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. That wasn't real Non Sec.
Yeah, that was like fake Non
party
Sec.
stream. Yeah. Yeah. Ah!
Yes, my first official appearance on an actual episode of Non Sequitur will be Monday. So look for me there. Also,
I'm so excited.
So Tuesday should be an Eric with Erica. I have to double check with Erica to make sure that's okay. But I'm not.
After I say happy birthday.
I will. Then Thursday should be the next episode of the Andrew Snelling and the Flood series called Pants on Fire, because the first one was called Liar Liar. Also, for $4.99, Van Dahlia 1998 says, if anyone is interested, we will be talking about the MCU in 3 hours. Nice. Tonight on season 10 premiere of Talking Time with Caffeine. If interested, hope to see you all there. So any mods, feel free to put a link to that in the chat. Then Saturday, we're going to have the nomination ceremony for the Cambrian Bunny Awards. There will be a number of categories in which my panel members will be able to nominate and give their arguments for who they think should be in the running for various awards, such as worst use of the English language by a creationist, worst behavior by a creationist, worst argument by a creationist, funniest creationist, as well as best overall creationist.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Also, look out, because I'm going to have to be doing this anime version of Kent Hovind and Matt Powell now, so that'll be out.
Yeah, check it.
Maybe I should record it and put it on.
Absolutely should.
Alright, I'll record the process.
I was actually hoping that that's how that would all go.
I mean, I could do it live, but I feel like I don't want to.
I would.
I've got enough going on. I don't need
Honestly,
it.
I'd rather watch it like with the sped up and music style thing.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so that's what's coming up on this channel. Thank you guys very much for watching. Remember to hit like if you can. Also, I'm very confident this one's going to get demonetized. So if you want to help out with things like that, there are links in the description to things like, channel memberships, Patreon, a wish list, and merch. If you want to get yourself a Dapper Dino mug, you can totally do that.
Senpai Kent Hovind.
All right, let's get out of here, Chesh. I'll see you later.
Bye.
I just want to take a minute to thank my patrons and channel members, especially those pledging $20 or above. Bob Knob, Bent Hovind, Denny525, Ian Chen, John Ackerman, Landon Knoll, Lingwei, Sphincter of Doom, The Venerable Bede, and Patrick Dennis. My channel members and patrons help keep the lights on here at Casa Dino, and they also help make this channel possible, because without them, you'd be lucky to get 1 video a week out of me, never mind 3. If you'd like to support either as a patron or a channel member, there are links below. Also, if a monthly pledge or even an annual pledge isn't right for you, there are other ways you can support the channel. There's a merch store and an Amazon wishlist. And of course, if none of that's right for you, just hitting like, sharing this video, and commenting really helps out a lot. Thank you.